Welcome back to Our Family Routes. Today we're going to talk about more about how we got to the RV lifestyle, and that involves a multiple sets of trips. I tried to recover from that sentence. And it started from a multiple set of trips from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast.
Yeah, so we started off, we rented a van when we landed back in the States and decided to see some family in Pittsburgh and then go down to Ohio to see an old friend and then go to Kentucky because neither one of us had been there. And in Kentucky, we got to see caves, which we didn't know were there. And the kids, nor I, have you been to caves? I think you have.
I've been to caves. I love caves. Caves are great.
So me and the girls had never been to one before, and we got to go down and explore. And then after, we also get to see like where they do the Kentucky Derby, which has been a thing I've wanted to see for a while.
That was pretty cool.
They were not doing races that day, so a little sad.
And we didn't realize how expensive some of those tickets get, but we learned that day very quickly.
Yeah, and then after that, we got to go see some rather unusual places that Tim and the oldest wanted to see.
Yes, some rather unusual places. So, this may sound weird to you, but the kid wanted to go see graves. I didn't want to go see graves at first, but she wanted to go see graves. So we went to find Colonel Sanders' grave. Now,
He's not joking.
we're not joking. We found Colonel Sanders, KFC, that guy. We found his grave and like took pictures of his grave. It just sounds weird because it was, but then we also got to go to the great Muhammad Ali's site, Ali Boumbaye. We got to go see his grave site, and that was kind of awesome to see. I mean, both of them were awesome to see, but being next to Ali's grave was like,
Yeah.
you know,
We also didn't realize Colonel Sanders was a real person, so seeing the grave was interesting for everybody.
yeah, it was a. It went from hey, look, as a funny, there's a guy named Colonel Sanders too. Wait, this is
The Colonel Sanders.
this is the Colonel Sanders that made KFC. That's so crazy, but we were in Kentucky.
Yeah. So after that weird trip through the graveyard, we went on to St. Louis, where we got to see another friend of mine and hang out for the night.
I got to see the arch too.
We did get to see the arch.
Yeah.
We had no idea where to park, so we're not sure if we parked right. But that was also a unique thing that none of us had seen yet. So it
Yeah.
was to see the gateway to the west, since we were going to be out west.
But we didn't stay long. Like we have to go back to St. Louis to actually do it justice because we always end up just passing through it. I don't know why that is. It just because it's the gateway. You're supposed to go in and out, I guess. So we ended up leaving St. Louis and we headed west. And again, St. Louis was kind of a pit stop, even though we have to get back there because it looked like there was so much beauty to the city. We just didn't have a chance to really linger a while in St. Louis.
So from St. Louis, we did make a bunch of like little stops in Missouri. So if you've never driven through the like I-40 / Route 66, path down has a bunch of cute rest stops. And possibly one of our favorite ones that we always stop through because it really is just adorable and it looks like an old highway. But our favorite stop in Missouri was in St. James because I was a little hangry,
Yeah.
and he stopped by a winery that he had saw the sign for that turned out to be really kid friendly.
It was wonderful. It was a great experience. Everybody was able to get flights. So like the adults got flights, the real stuff. But of course they had like the juice version for the kids, and they had like a whole bunch of games on the tables. And
Yeah.
I mean, like it was a whole experience. It was a place that we definitely keep going back to.
Yeah. And have gone back to.
Yeah, several times, several times. And we found out that it's a harvest host.
Yes.
So that's an even better plus. So next time we go, we can take our RV.
Yes. And they
Yeah.
have a restaurant. So there's a lot going on there that we didn't realize the first time when he was just trying to like stave off my hunger and get me snacks to
Basically.
make me happy. Thanks. But from there, we just headed down to Tulsa, which was another pit stop, just real quick. But we did end up at least stopping by Black Wall Street before we left while we were there. We do know that there's a huge playground down there that we do at one point in time want to see, but
Yeah.
we did not have time because we were trying to get home.
Yeah, exactly. Like we needed to get to a destination, so everything was kind of in a rush. So we passed so many things, like so many things that we wanted to see. In fact, there was like another set of caves at some point in time in the trip that we were like, oh, we're gonna go there eventually.
I think also Missouri. Missouri
Yeah, I
had
think
a
that was
lot
also in
going
Missouri.
on.
Yeah, Missouri is a hidden gem out here. I like that. But yeah, because we had to beeline it over here, we missed out on so many beautiful things that we'll be able to hit now that we're able to go back those ways or any type of way, because home is where family's at.
Yeah, so the next thing we did stop at was in Amarillo. So that's just another stop along Route 66. And if you notice, we've been taking Route 66 all the way down.
It's kind of cool.
Actually, we had a couple stops before Amarillo. He found a history of bikes
The
shop.
bike place. Yeah.
So we ended up stopping there and getting to see motorcycles throughout the ages. Well, any two-wheel motorized things, so motorbikes, dirt bikes, motorcycles, all there. And that was actually pretty cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was in a you almost would think was like a rundown building from one of the scary movies, like when the hills have eyes or something like that. But
Wow.
we braved it at first, because you never should judge a book by its cover, right? So we braved it. We went up to the door, we knocked on it, and it turned out to be one of the best experiences we had on the road.
Yeah. And then a couple hours later, we found a Route 66 museum. And that was also just a history of think Dirty Dancing in a museum, but because that's when Route 66 would have been at its prime.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's that whole museum and what it was. And then we finally got to Amarillo.
Yeah. It's like the movie, it's like the diners in the movie Back to the Future. Marty McFly goes back in time to the 50s and 60s. It was awesome to see everything at that museum. I think the girls had a really good time too.
Yeah. Then in Amarillo, we did Cadillac Ranch. So that is a bunch of Cadillacs are stuck in the ground, essentially, and you get to spray paint them. So we all got to spray paint our names on these Cadillacs that are in the ground and become a part of history, kind of.
Evolving history. Because, as soon as you paint over it too much, the next generation is going to come when the next generation is next week, right? So, because so many people go past that Cadillac Ranch. It's an awesome sight to see. If you're ever passing through Amarillo, Texas, definitely stop.
Yeah, and you may pass it, because we did pass the entrance twice before we realized how to get in. But it's definitely worth a stop. It's something super fun, super easy to let you stretch your legs for a little bit. And even the baby got to play around. She didn't quite spray paint, but she had to play. And then we just headed home because we're just tired of being on the road, honestly. This trip took us 4 days, 5 days?
3 or 4 days.
Yeah. So it took us a while to get out here, and we were honestly just tired and ready for beds that were going to be semi-permanent beds because we were still in a hotel.
Yeah.
But it wasn't changing hotels and taking our suitcases out every day anymore. Part of the reason we wanted an RV, because now I just have my bed at all times.
Exactly.
And I don't have to unpack a suitcase.
Yep. So we get to have the opportunity to go see more of the things we want to see when we want to see them than we did, living in sticks and bricks. So, it's really an eye-opener and a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, family. So next time we're going to hit up I guess you'll just have to stay tuned for it. We'll see you next time.